Welcome to the Malt Miller YouTube channel, Homebrewers, and we are incredibly excited about this video today, aren't we, Rob? Because we are talking about the brand new range of X3 fermenters from Brewbuilt. Last year here at the Malt Miller, we brought in the range of Brewbuilt X2 fermenters, and you all loved them. But the folks over at Morebeer have been busy in the last 12 months developing the new range of X3s. Rob, there's been some significant changes from the X2. What have we got going on?
Okay, so the biggest change is the lid.
Yeah.
So it's up the top here. So the previous incarnation had like a V band that went all the way around and the complete lid lifted off.
Yeah.
They've changed and moved to the 8-inch tri-clamp here at the top. Actually, it's way easier to use and it's much easier to actually seal it as a pressure vessel.
Yeah, because it's so big and wide as well. When you take it off, you can still get inside and clean it really easily, which was one of the big features about the X2 that homebrewers absolutely loved, because you could take the whole lid off and get inside. But the 8-inch tri-clamp offers, like you've said, that improved ability to maintain and get that seal so that you can pressure ferment.
And you can still get your hand in, get your hand right into the vessel if necessary, but you can get the hand right in underneath, all no problem.
Yeah, and it means that you can get inside and see that awesome mirror finish that the guys at Brewbuilt have got inside these tanks, because it's amazing, isn't it?
The quality of these welds is absolutely off the scale. The mirror polishing on the inside, just the smoothness helps everything slide off rather than stick.
Yeah.
It's fantastic quality.
So what other features have they worked on over the X2 then, Rob, with the X3?
Okay, so we've got on this unit splayed legs. Actually, it makes the whole thing more stable, but it also gives way better access to all of the valves and fittings down the bottom here.
Yeah, because the predecessor with the straight legs, whilst it was really sturdy, it did mean that it was a bit tricky to get in there and like
and we've seen other fermenters that suffer from the same problem, but with these splayed legs, plenty of access down here. It makes it super easy. Yeah,
and getting off the collection vessel at the bottom as well, because you haven't got anything in the way at the front.
There's nothing hindering you.
Yeah, it's really good. There's also some changes been made to the bottom of the tank, hasn't there? So while we're down there, tell us about that.
Well, it was 3-inch valve to a 2-inch collection vessel.
Yeah.
Now we're using exactly the same collection vessel that's on the Conical Fermenters.
Yes.
So it's exactly the same vessel, 3-inch for taking your yeast dumps. Obviously, also it's got the caps on here for the
carbonation caps, right?
Exactly that.
Yeah, nice. So that just means, again, when you're taking away shrub or hops, you're going to be able to get more of it out in that first run, and it's going to be easier as well to get it off and get rid of it.
Definitely. So importantly, they've actually added another 2-inch tri-clamp. Now this is located on the top of the cone and it's angled upwards into the vessel, and that's for a immersible heating element.
Right, okay, so you could have a heating element then that's pointing straight up into your wort to provide that heating part of your heating and cooling solution.
Yeah, exactly. Some areas in the world really important that temperatures are really low during the winter. We actually need to heat the fermenter. We might be fermenting with some sort of Kvike yeast where you want the higher temperatures.
Yeah, you want to push the range, right? But I love that they've added that, because you know we've already got some manufacturers that are making those kind of tri-clamped submersible heating elements, so that'd be a really fun feature to play around with and explore.
Exactly. And also we've got the G20 glycol chiller. Now that's actually got a heating circuit on it as well, so we can link that in, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, nice. So that's the new features then, Rob, and they're really impressive, but this unit is impressive anyway, as was the X2. What are some of the features that they share? Maybe if there's somebody watching this video that didn't watch the first one we did on the X2, what are some of the features that really stand out across the series of Brewbuilt X range of fermenters?
Let's start at the bottom here. So we've previously talked about the 3-inch butterfly valve at the bottom here, absolutely ideal for dumping yeast, shrub, and doing the other features, carrying out the other features that this collection vessel gives you. Moving up slightly, we've got a sample tap here. You can use that for samples, but you can also use it for drawing off wort or actually finished beer.
Yeah, okay.
We've got two separate 1.5 inch tri-clamps here at the top of the cone. Now we've put the thermo well in one side, we've blanked off the other side. For the other side, you could add a carbonation stone, absolutely perfect for that.
Yeah.
But it actually ships as it's shown here with the thermo well.
Cool. And again, that just gives us that nice deep temperature reading from inside the fermenter during the process. One thing that I just want to touch on when we're on the cone side of things, it's actually the angle of the cone. You know, the geometry that's been designed into this to make sure that the yeast and the shrub and any hops really does fall down into the collection vessel.
Along with that smooth, really super smooth surface as well, really enhances it.
Very smart. So what's next as we move up?
Let's move up then. So we've got two 1.5 inch tri-clamps there for the jacketed part of it.
Okay.
So they're for the glycol jacket, and actually the glycol jacket is really good because it's actually got baffles inside there that actually push the glycol around in the right direction to make it even more efficient.
Yeah, so it goes in from one side, has to go all the way round before it gets drawn out.
Yeah, sure.
So you're getting really good kind of transfer of temperature, whether it's up or down or whatever you're trying to do. That's fantastic. And then what else as we head up to the top of the tank?
We've got the blow off cane here.
Yeah.
Now, if we were using it under pressure, we would be blanking that off and perhaps replacing it with something else, such as a pressure gauge, which would be ideal. But we've got another 1.5 inch tri-clamp here, so we can really, it's so configurable, this tank. You really can add exactly what you would like to it.
So we could take the blow off cane off, fit a pressure gauge one side, then have a spunding valve the other side, right? But I guess you could configure it in whatever way you wanted.
Exactly, yeah. If we want to ferment under pressure, obviously we need to remove the racking cane.
Yeah. And then there's even more tri-clamps at the very top.
Yeah, and these are located in the actual 8 inch tri-clamp lid itself. So we've got two, as it ships, we've got two spare 1.5 inch tri-clamps.
Yeah.
We've got the 4 inch tri-clamp on top here. This is where the pressure pack is located. And obviously in the pressure pack, we've got two corny posts, obviously one in, one out, and another spare 1.5 inch tri-clamp port.
Yeah. Also, it's good to note that on the inside of the liquid outpost, we've got a floating dip tube, haven't we?
Exactly, and they work perfectly across various different fermenters that we're now selling. It's important to note that this is exactly how the unit ships to customers, because previously on the X2s it was slightly different. The collection vessel was a separate buyable item, as was the pressure pack.
Yeah.
But this actually ships with both of those items.
Right. So it's great to know that with everything that's included now in one click, you can crack on and do your first fermentation in this tank. But if we want to make sure that it's actually able to be used as a pressure fermenter, we need to think about a couple of additional accessories, don't we?
It comes with a PRV, but that's for safety. That's not for spunding.
Yeah.
And that's a really important note. We can't use PRV for spunding purposes. It's just not safe enough. So to ferment under pressure, we need to add another spunding valve. Now the blow tie from Kegland is absolutely ideal for this. Sits on the post. Perfect.
Yeah, and I guess because we've got all of these other tri-clamp fittings, if we wanted to, we could fit another post on there just specifically for where the spunding valve goes, so our gas post on here is left clear.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we've got that adaptability.
Yeah, or we use one of the other tri-clamp ports for a bigger stainless steel spunding valve.
What other things might we need to do if we wanted to use this then as a pressure fermenter, or bear in mind?
No, James, you don't need anything else to be able to ferment in here under pressure. It's actually worth noting that there's a 14 psi maximum pressure rating on this vessel.
Right, okay, but that's pretty much standard across most tanks.
Yeah.
And it's more than enough to do every kind of style that you would want, lagers or just low oxygen brewing for kind of big hazy hot bombs.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice, okay. I'm really, really, really impressed with the enhancements they've made on this. It's awesome, isn't it?
And it absolutely shouts quality all over. I actually saw these X3s last year in Germany. In fact, it was about a year ago, and I was really impressed by the quality of them then. These actual production units are off the scale. They're absolutely fantastic.
Wow, I think that, you know, without seeing it, I don't know whether the video will do it justice. There's obviously going to be loads of nice footage showing it off, but actually seeing it in the flesh is just something else. So we touched a little bit earlier about connecting this up to a glycol chiller, and you mentioned the Kegland glycol chiller. You know, how easy is it to get this thing running with a chiller of some sort?
Well, there's multiple different fittings that we can put on the glycol ports. So we could have BSP fittings here, screw threads,
yep.
Or we could have hose barbs.
Yep.
We've got all of that's required to do that.
Disconnect.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly. So to actually connect it up to the G20 glycol chiller, no issue.
And actually, we talked a little bit earlier about the fact that, you know, you can fit an immersible heater into it, but we've actually got a couple of other accessories this time round, one of which is we've got the silicone cone wraps, haven't we? How easy would it be to connect one of those up to a glycol chiller like the Kegland one?
Well, actually, it's super simple because they just fit round the cone, and we've got two different versions. So we've got a lower wattage for the smaller versions that we carry in of these tanks, but also the bigger, higher wattage ones for the much bigger tanks.
Nice.
To actually connect them up to the G20 glycol chiller, there's a bit of wiring to be done, which we've kind of covered before. It's actually a super simple process.
Yeah, and once it's on and done, that chiller working with the tanks that we've trialled it with has been fantastic, hasn't it?
Absolutely awesome. Also, James, we've got casters. Now that absolutely just finishes it off. Maybe not so much for these smaller tanks, although I can see how they can be really useful, but for our 95 and our 144 litre versions of this that we've got here now, they are absolutely ideal.
Yeah, just being able to move it around the brewery, if you need to clean and maybe your water supply or your hot water supply somewhere else. Yeah, that's fantastic. But just, you know, don't know about you, Rob, but at home I like to kind of play around with the layout of my home brewery, and if you've got a tank on wheels, it makes it really easy, isn't it?
Now, obviously, James, as more accessories become available from Brewbuilt, we'll be adding those on. One of those is the neoprene jacket. Yeah. So they weren't available to order when we ordered these. They will be on our next order.
Yeah, nice. And again, that'll just give you that added layer of kind of insulation, helps with condensation, and just keeping that lovely shiny thing all nice and shiny, right?
But of course, because we've got so many 1.5 inch tri-clamps here for various different accessories, you can use any brand on here of any accessories. The configuration on this is endless.
Yeah, I just love that now as homebrewers we've got tanks like this available, you know, with all of this commercial grade finish, commercial grade machining, all of the adaptability, so that actually homebrewers can get as technical as they want at home now as maybe some of the commercial breweries do with the way they configure their tanks.
Well, add a carbonation stone and add a sample valve and pigtail, and you've literally got everything that's available to a commercial brewer with a however many litre uni tank in their breweries, which we go and see very often. Bam, we've got it in a 26 litre tank.
Yeah. So speaking of sizes then, Rob, what sizes have we got the Brewbuilt X3 in?
This bad boy that you can see here, this is 26 litres. Perfect. This is 23 litre batch. If that's your batch size, this is the one you're purchasing. We also do a 53 litre size.
Yeah, okay.
And also we've got the big boy, which is 144 litres.
Wow.
All the same features right throughout the range.
Yeah, just the size of the tank changes.
Exactly.
Nice.
So James, if we're going to ferment under pressure, we also want to be able to transfer out of here into a keg oxygen free, but we also want to be able to dry hop oxygen free.
Yeah, I mean, having the ability to get your hops in there and not have any oxygen ingress at all is so important. You know how much I love my hazy IPAs, my hazy pale ales. I'm trying to chase down that perfect homebrew version of that style, and having low oxygen dry hopping or eliminating oxygen from your dry hopping is a really, it's kind of, it feels like a small step.
It's not a small step.
Not a small step. No, it's a significant thing when you're talking about those styles. So how do we go about that on this tank?
Okay, so if we have fermented under pressure with our spunding valve, we don't have to add anything to be able to transfer here under pressure. That's fine. Just add our CO2 to the top and push the beer out to a keg.
Yeah.
If we want to dry hop oxygen free, it's really simple because we do the hop bong from Kegland.
Yeah.
And we've got an available, and actually this is really important, we have an available 1.5 inch tri-clamp to 2 inch converter, but it's a concentric cone. So the hops, when they come out of the hop bong, can actually drop through it. It's not just it's not an adapter as such. It's actually a cone, which makes using that hop bong possible on this unit.
And then once we get down to the point where the hops have been in contact for a little while and maybe we want to rouse them, because we've got that very familiar collection vessel from the Fermzilla on there that we can put the carbonation caps onto, we can then blow CO2 through the hops, get them back up into suspension.
Actually, just having spent a week with commercial brewers, one of the things that they're all talking about is just the ability to be able to blow that CO2 back up, putting the hops back into suspension. They were all talking about the increased hop aroma and flavour that you can create by doing that. It also means that you can use a slightly less volume to be able to get the same outcome.
Yeah, and actually that's one of the things that we've talked about quite a bit on the channel, how you get that same kind of hop utilization that you would get in a commercial tank, because mainly down to the height of the tanks, right? You've got maybe 6 meters of tank that those hops have got to drop down to versus, well, in this case, maybe 80 centimeters, right?
Sure.
So being able to push CO2 back up, get them into suspension and make the most out of the hops you've added. But then I love the ability to then easily get rid of them as well.
Well, actually, James, you talk about getting rid of them. For the yeast collection, this vessel, separate vessel, and you get a cap. So you can actually take yeast off, ready for reusing.
Yeah.
You can use it as a yeast storage jar. Absolutely fantastic.
And use that straight into your next batch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess if you wanted to as well, once you've done your yeast dump, you could get an array of different stainless steel hoses, you know, tubes and elbows, and then you could actually dump hops out that way.
Actually, the configuration ability of this unit to be able to set it up for your actual purposes at home, so it fits in with your brewery at home, is absolutely endless.
Nice. Well, I can't wait to get hands on and start brewing with this, but I know you're not going to let me brew with this one because we're going to need to sell it, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. So this is our introduction to the brand new X3 Uni Conical Fermenters from Brewbuilt. I'm pretty sure we've covered everything. However, if you need to know anything more, just knock us up in the comments below.
And of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't already, please do subscribe, hit the bell underneath so you get notified to all of the new stuff we're putting out for you on our YouTube channel, and make sure that you give this video a thumbs up, and you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and also TikTok. Have a great brew.
Cheers.